Spirit of life, come to me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice, roots holding close, wings setting free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Good morning, friends, and welcome. I'm Katie McQuage-Loukas, your Ministerial Intern, and my pronouns are she and hers. We come here from different places, with hearts and spirits, with different needs and longings. But here we are, together this morning. I welcome you this morning with the words of Reverend Leslie Takahashi. Here in this place of peace, may we find hope. Here in this place of connection, may we find life-giving community. Here in this place of rest, let the unrest of our hearts turn us toward justice. Here in this space made sacred by memories of connection, let us each feel ourselves part of the new that grows from the old, in the spiraling unity of years. And now we will light our chalice.
In the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, we gather this day. May the flame we now kindle be to us a symbol of the holiness we seek. We are Unitarian Universalists, the Church of the open mind, the loving heart, and helping hands.
Good morning. Welcome to this week's virtual Sunday service. My name is Sharlene Reynolds Santo, and I'm a member of the Worship Arts team. I want to thank you for spending some time with us here this morning. Today, we gather with the hope of creating a welcoming environment to nurture and explore individual spirituality, build a committed and loving community, and to help heal this broken world. Regardless of why you have chosen to be here with us today, what you look like, who you choose to live with or love, you are welcome to this beloved community. If you're watching this service during its initial broadcast at 10 a.m. on February 21st, please join us after the service for fellowship. This is a great way to keep connected and to check in with others in our church community using small group conversations via Zoom. The link to this Zoom meeting can be found in the weekly UUCR newsletter. As we begin today's service, I want to tell you again that you belong here. You belong here, maybe just for the next hour, although we hope for longer. You belong here, and we are grateful that you have chosen to spend some time with us today. Now sit back, take a deep breath, and enjoy this morning's service.
Good morning. I'm Mary Cunningham, the music director here at UUCR. And for this service, Voices of the Beloved Community, I gathered together some recordings of the congregation singing. We'll also hear from featured musician Aaron Clark, his voice and the voice of his ukulele on some very beautiful pieces. We'll have an opening song that will sound familiar to many of you. It's the traveling music we used to sing as our young people and teachers would go off to their classes. It's got some very easy lyrics to sing. I'm so glad I'm here. I'm going to sing while I'm here, and joy brought me here. So thank you for all your beautiful singing voices, beloved community. Let's sing together. I'm so glad I'm here.
Good morning. I'm Sally Liebermann, and my pronouns are she and her.
Good morning. I'm Melissa Martin, and my pronouns are she and her.
Melissa Martin, it is so good to be together this morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Melissa, can you tell us what you love about our church?
I love so many things about our church, but what I love most is welcoming new members who have come to our church to explore their own spiritual needs, and then witnessing them become part of our interconnected congregation where they're learning and growing together. How about you, Sally? What do you love about our church?
There's a lot, really, isn't there? First thing that comes to my heart is the way that our church really cares for our children and our teenagers, and how we take care of them as they grow and learn about themselves, and how we want them to be comfortable with themselves and in the world. I think we do that really well. You know, when we talk about beloved community, we imagine a circle where there's room for everyone and where everybody has a voice. Everyone is seen. Everyone is cared for. And everyone is loved. I've heard, Melissa, we have a caring and sharing team at our church. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Our caring and sharing team is a shared ministry, and that means it's made up of friends and members of all ages. The team assists members and friends of our church during times of illness, emergency, or other personal situations by offering them meals, errands, and sometimes transportation to and from appointments. And the beautiful part about this is that all of us can participate in the caring and sharing, and we can also all receive the caring and sharing.
That sounds like a beloved community thing to do. So if your family has a surprise, a happy surprise like a new baby or someone joins your family, you could let the caring and sharing team know that you didn't quite maybe have enough time to cook dinner and somebody might cook for you. Or I guess you could also sign up to cook yourself if you like to cook for other people. I think you said that the caring and sharing team works for when there are hard surprises too. So when there's sadness, maybe somebody dies in your family or in your household or in your circle of connection, you could let the caring and sharing team know, and folks might give you a call. Maybe somebody might send you a message to let them know they were thinking of you. Sounds like there are other surprises too, though. So if you needed a ride to a doctor's appointment, or maybe you broke your foot and your foot was in a cast and you couldn't drive, you could get a ride. I know we're not going to do that until after the pandemic clears and we have the okay to be in people's cars together, but that would be really fun to give people rides. It's good to know you could ask for one, and you might get one if you need one. Melissa, thanks for being with us today, and thanks for being part of all that is caring and sharing about our church.
Thank you for having me, Sally.
Melissa, I'll see you soon.
Good morning, I'm Reverend Hank Peirce. As we enter into this time, let us begin by lighting our candle of community. We light it for all of us, because we are apart, yet there it is. Because we know that we are all thinking of each other. And we light it also for all those friends who've gone from this place onto that great mystery which awaits us all. Let's open our hearts in prayer. Spirit of undomesticated power, beyond our full understanding, we are here, wondering, doubting, a little fearful and in need. Let us discover how to sing love home again, that we might be vessels of your creative peace, set free at long last in this world. We hold in our prayers this morning our church members who are recovering from hospitalizations, and we hope for a quick and full recovery for each of them. Our prayers are also for those across the southern U.S., especially those in Texas, as they struggle to survive. Communities of color, the poor, the homeless will again suffer longest from this devastating crisis. We ask for strength for those around the world grieving for loved ones lost due to COVID-19. In spirit of creation, we also remember this Sunday those who have lost loyal pets recently. Pets that have made their days and their nights and their lives more enjoyable. Thou, sometimes the wilderness seems like it will never end. So we pray that no temptation will be too overwhelming and no act of compassion too insignificant. And all things may we be sustained on the journey before us. Grant us the hope and grace needed in this moment and in every moment. Blessed be and amen. Let us be together in silence for a moment.
Since November of 2019, UUCR has been donating half of the funds received in the collection plate each week to a nonprofit organization that shares our UU values. We do not do this because we have more than we need, but because there is so much need. Our Share the Plate recipient for the month of February is Common Cathedral City Reach. Common Cathedral was started in the summer of 1994 by Reverend Deborah Little, who began meeting with homeless people on Boston Common, offering sandwiches, friendship, and referrals. From that simple beginning, Common Cathedral has evolved into an ecumenical church community that engages homeless and privileged people, service providers, clergy, artists, and professionals of all kinds in activities to meet the physical, social, emotional, and spiritual needs of homeless people in Boston. A few years ago, I joined the youth group from this church on a City Reach overnight. We spent time with the homeless, we asked questions, and we walked the streets at night in our warm clothes and were given an opportunity to see and hear what it is like to be homeless. Then we went back inside to sleep on a hard floor in our own sleeping bags. In the morning, we helped prepare a meal, then organized and distributed clothing, including items donated from our congregation. Then we went home to our families, our beds, our warm food. Since the start of the pandemic, the needs of the chronically unhoused are greater than ever, and the opportunities to help them have been limited. Please use the church's website or mail a check directly to the church. Please give as generously as you are willing and able to our virtual Sunday Share the Plate offering to support both City Reach and the mission of UUCR. Thank you. Today's reading is What Does It Mean to Be a People of Beloved Community by Reverend Scott Taylor. Henry Nouwen, the treasured Catholic teacher, activist, and pastor, once described beloved community as a place where the person you least want to live with always lives. On the surface, it seems a straightforward reminder not to expect perfection from the communities we join, and not to expect perfection from others. Indeed, it's a plea to stick with the troublesome others, forgive them, accept them, stay open to the whole of who they are, not just the caricatured sliver of them that makes it easy to write them off. Besides the obvious calls to commitment, conflict resolution, and hard work, there's also a hidden call to hope woven into Nouwen's words. To stay in community with difficult or offensive people, we have to hold on to the hope that they can change and grow. We have to believe that their better selves exist and will eventually show up. We have to have faith that giving them the benefit of the doubt is worth it. That assuming their good intentions isn't foolish. It's a tall order. This kind of hopefulness and generosity towards others is not easy. But there's a catch. Nouwen doesn't stop there. Right after the first sentence, he adds another, and here's the whole quote. Community is the place where the person you least want to live with always lives. That person is always in your community somewhere. In the eyes of others, you might be that person. Ow. Nouwen doesn't hold punches. Just when we are starting to feel good about being the ones who are magnanimous with those annoying and offensive people, Nouwen reminds us that we actually are among them. By adding us to the mix of the unwanted, he's pointing out that beloved community requires us to believe not only that others are worth our effort, but also that we will be worth the effort in the eyes of others. We human beings run away from community not just because others let us down, but also because we doubt that others won't step up when we let them down. Beloved community stays at arm's length, not just because it's hard to build, but also because we don't trust that it will be there for us.
Pow! Henry Nouwen reminds us that it is not easy to live in community. And to try and create beloved community is going to be really, really difficult. There's a person in your community that you least want to live with, and that you might be that person in other people's eyes. That's heavy. It's heavy. It's hard to live in community. It's hard to be in community because communities are filled with people. Stepping on each other's toes, feeling disaffected, misspeaking, mishearing, misinterpreting, getting defensive, getting frustrated, getting on each other's nerves. And that was just this week. It has been difficult to understand and experience community while we've been separated and isolated from each other, hasn't it? In fact, the idea of what community can be has been contorted and twisted by our feelings,
maybe our own fears. It's all one big reminder that the work of beloved community is bigger than we usually imagine. And that the work of building a beloved community is more than just about building a better world. It's about building up each other's faith. We are in a battle not just against the divisions that lie between us, but also the doubt that is within us. Right now, we are feeling isolated. Isolated from each other, maybe isolated from God or the sacred, or from that thing that gives you meaning and shapes your life. Had to move that up. It's a strange time. We haven't been able to look into each other's faces and if we did, we no doubt would recognize that we are all frightened. That we are all feeling like that thing that has kept us centered is lost. We find ourselves searching for that elusive substance, that essence, that feeling that we once knew, which made us feel so loved and so sure of who we were and who we were with each other, who we were in this place, who we were in our families, who we were in the greater world. Or maybe at least before, in the before times, we were just so busy that we weren't able to notice those things that we were missing. My pal, Jake Morrell, wrote recently about looking for his dog who had gotten lost in the woods. He wrote how he walked down this little path calling out the dog's name again and again, which is how it sometimes is between me and God. Some know God as a thunderstorm, scary, overwhelming. Others as a porch light, steady, soft, always on. But, Jake wrote, but I like the Celtic image for the spirit, a wild goose, untamed, ungoverned by our words, our demands, our categories of mind. A wild goose will go where it will. For a lot of us, this is a wilderness time. A time when it's not clear how or if love will win in the end. A time to ponder the elusiveness of that substance which previously seemed so natural that we took it for granted. We wonder about its absence. I know at times I've wandered and wondered. Maybe you have too. But what if beloved community wasn't a far off porch light that you have to trudge out to get? What if beloved community, was more like a wild goose or even a wet dog? What if instead of some grim pursuit in our desire to meet it, we'd be compelled to just sing out, call out its name? Today, in our service, you're going to hear words from 3 people from this congregation. People whose lives were held and transformed and validated by this community. Maybe hearing these stories on this cold winter's day will remind you of that thing that you are longing for, that thing which seems to have run away. Maybe as you listen we will hear it. Maybe if you sing out its name to invite it back, to entice it, it will return. The first piece is from Chris West. Then Linda Wilkes has some words to share. And the last set of words comes from Alec Keenan. Chris wrote, "We are so grateful for all of our friends here at UUCR. When we returned to Reading from Albany after our daughter Evelyn's suicide, you were here for us. Your thoughtful remembrances, conversations, hugs, remember those? Your cards, phone calls, texts, and emails helped us through this time of deep grief, this time of despair. You held us when we cried. You listened when we needed to tell our story. Your meals sustained us. Your flowers reminded us that there was still color and beauty in the world. Your help with Evelyn's service and reprinting Evelyn's CD freed us to more deeply contemplate the music and readings that we wanted to include in her service. With your love and help, we began to feel once again. Feel the warmth of the longtime sun that shines upon us all. And so we'd like to offer you a prayer. May the longtime sun shine upon you, all love surrounded you, and the pure light that is within you guide your way on. Thank you, beloved community.
Good morning. My name is Linda Wilkes. Hank asked me if I would speak to you this morning about the importance of the UUCR in my life. I began life at the UUCR in 1989 and was a member until 2006. In 2006, we moved to Saratoga Springs, New York for work. Soon thereafter, we joined the Saratoga Springs Congregation till 2017. We then returned to Gloucester and resumed life at the UUCR in 2019. Before 1989, I attended church at the Paulus Center in Boston. I grew up as an unbelieving Catholic, but found a place at the Paulus Center in the music group. I had spent most of my earlier life dancing, ballet specifically. I loved listening to and dancing to music, but I didn't know I could sing. In high school, I was incredibly lucky to have secured a volunteer position at the Museum of Science. I worked in the Animal Center caring for the snakes and owls. That was really great, but it offered me the opportunity to be with other kids who were geeky like me. They thought it was cool that I danced, and I thought what they did was equally cool. One of my fellow geeks taught me how to play my new guitar, and another took me to the folk mass at the Paulus Center in Boston. You can probably guess what happened. My new guitar and I joined the music group. I wasn't very good in the beginning, but they let me stay and encouraged me. I got better, and I found out I could sing. I learned how to sing harmony and how to read music. It was the beginning of a lifelong love affair with choral singing. So, flash forward to 1989. I began attending this church and heard the choir. And yep, you guessed it, I joined the choir. Over the next 16 years, I learned so much about choral singing and further developed my musical skills. I started taking voice lessons and performing more difficult music. Thanks to the 4 music directors of the UUCR choir, I was on the path to my greatest musical opportunity. When I moved to New York, I participated in the Saratoga Church Choir, but I also auditioned and was accepted to a professional choral group, Albany Pro Musica. I loved it. I learned so much and sang with so many talented people and took more voice lessons and even learned how to play the piano. Not too well, so don't get too excited. It was truly one of the best experiences of my life. It never would have happened without all the experiences that preceded it. But it was my experience with the choir at the UUCR that really prepared me for it. People like Jane McKenzie, Sarah, Mark, and Ed were so very generous with their time and helped me develop my skills. I would never have had the experience of singing with the Philadelphia Orchestra and the Albany Symphony and even with the New York City Ballet had it not been for the dedicated musicians at the UUCR. I'm a humanist, and I believe that we better our spiritual selves when we give of our talent to others. Giving of our gifts helps the recipient, but it really helps the giver. Music is one of the ways that I can give of myself to help others. Whether it's singing in a nursing home, working with inner city high school kids to help them learn how to sing a requiem, or providing music for our services, music is a gift that I can draw on to help others, and ultimately myself. I am so very grateful to the beloved community and staff of the UUCR for giving me this precious gift.
I share with you now words from Alec Keeling on what it has meant to experience this community. If we're lucky, all of us are able to hold on tightly to a handful of moments that define our lives in the best way possible. For Kevin and I, the finalization of our son's adoptions shares space at the top of our lists. And by that, I don't just mean our time in the courtroom on a snowy November morning, making things official. I also mean the boys' celebration and dedication ceremony at our church. Standing at the front of UUCR, surrounded by friends and a community that had supported us on a journey that lasted an unexpected and tumultuous 3.5 years, I felt a deep and personal sense of warmth that I can't adequately describe, but the memory of which has surrounded me repeatedly in the ensuing 2 years. I feel it when I close my eyes and think back to that day, when I hear Hank's voice ask the same questions of other parents dedicating new members, and when Melissa shares messages of joy that a community member entrusts to the same supportive congregation. Sometimes I feel it just sitting in the church next to my children as the sun comes through our leaded glass, also dedicated by members of the community, and my husband's voice booms along with the choir. The feeling is equal parts hope, nostalgia, security, and belonging. I suppose many would describe it as home.
My pal Jake's dog, Daisy, finally returned in the end. She returned very pleased with herself, covered in mud and leaves and burrs. But before, out in the woods when he thought that she was gone, all he knew to do was his part, to sing out her name. We are still in the woods. So sing out, my friends, sing out. And maybe you'll be heard by that wild goose. Amen.
I think it's time we found a way back home. You lose so many things you love as you grow. I miss the days when I was just a kid. My fear became my shadow, I swear it did. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Though your feet may take you far from me, I know Wherever is your heart, I call home. You made me feel like I was always falling down without a place to land. Somewhere in the distance I heard you calling. Oh, it hurts so bad to let go of your hand. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Though your feet may take you far from me, I know. Wherever is your heart, I call home. And even when you're high, you can get low. Even with your friends you love, you're still alone. We always find the darkest place to go. God forgive our minds, we were born to roam. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Though your feet may take you far from me, I know. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Oh God, forgive my mind. Oh God, forgive my mind when I come home. When I come home. Oh God, forgive my mind. There's a road that's long and winding and hollers home. I'm calling home. Oh God, forgive my mind. Oh God, forgive my mind when I come home. When I come home. Oh God, forgive my mind. Oh God, forgive my mind when I come home. When I come home. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Though your feet may take you far from me, I know. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Oh, wherever is your heart, I call home. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Though your feet may take you far from me, I know. Wherever is your heart, I call home.
As you heard Sally and I speak about earlier in the service, our caring and sharing ministry is one of the many things that makes this congregation our beloved community. In our March newsletter coming out later this week, you'll find a new form where you can raise your hand to be part of the caring and sharing email list. In doing so, you would get periodic email requests to help deliver a meal or run an errand for a congregant. And based on your availability, you can respond to help or another team member will. There you'll also find a form where you can let the caring and sharing team know when you are in need of some care. This new form will make it easier for us to get that loving support to you. New friends, we want to help you learn more about our church and this faith, and we invite you to consider to join us at the next virtual offering of Starting Point, which will be this coming Sunday, February 28th at 2 p.m. I would love to give you more information about that, so please do reach out. The UUCR Winter Frolic fundraiser is halfway over. Our annual church auction will close at about 2 p.m. this Saturday, February 27th. Use the link below this video to join in the fun. There are affordable fixed prices and a variety of unique items to choose from, and we hope that you'll take a look and join us. Today, we invite you to join us for our social hour immediately after the service. And in that same Zoom room, our ongoing adult anti-racism and anti-oppression discussion series will begin at 12 p.m. Thank you for being a vital part of our beloved community.
Please rise in body and spirit and join in singing our next hymn, which is number 145 in the gray hymnal, number 145, As Tranquil Streams.
Before we extinguish our chalice, I need to do that thing that drives poor Melissa crazy. I have to tell you something different than she just told you. So this coming Wednesday, when we have this tech summit that's planned out, it's actually going to begin at 7:30 and not at 7. I know, it's fine. All is good. I'm sorry, Melissa, but please, we need you to come, check it out, bring us your ideas, bring and volunteer. This is going to be exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. This is about the future of our church. But now let us extinguish our chalice. And join me in saying the words we say each week. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts. And now our closing words. Our worship has ended, but its gifts remain. Tuck its praise inside you. Take its goodness with you. Drink from its wells of lasting peace. Live by its light, its courage and grace. And don't be afraid. Seek to serve. In plenty or want, find ways to share. Discern the truth and tell it. Resist all wrong, and don't be afraid. Regard all people as your people. In hard times and good, take care of yourself. Take care of your people, and don't be afraid. Our worship is over. Our service begins. Go in peace.